On President Biden's 715th day in office, he will address the nation from the White House tomorrow on border security. Of course, as you look at the White House, there's a big fence around the White House. Nobody gets in there uninvited. Not so much along the southern border. Live pictures of the port of entry in El Paso, where on today, the 714th day after President Biden took office, a total of 6 million people have crossed illegally into the United States. And it's not just a speech about the border. President Biden says he might, or at least will try, to visit the southern border next week.
Are you going to be visiting the border when you head down to Mexico?
That's my intention. We're working out the details now.
Right now, overwhelmed Border Patrol agents encounter 200,000 illegal immigrants every month. Those are just the ones we know about. There are tens of thousands every month that, quote unquote, get away. Just the ones we know about are enough to fill the entire Texas Motor Speedway and then some, entering the country illegally every month. Of course, more than half of them get released into the United States. More illegal aliens cross the border every month under President Biden than in the history of the country. And while his staff prepares for the trip to Mexico, possibly the trip to the southern border, his press secretary says that what we have seen over the past 2 years at the southern border is not his administration's fault.
As the president is coming forward and trying to come up with solutions, the difference here is that you have Republicans, as you know, who are doing political stunts.
Phil Wegmann is here, White House reporter for Real Clear Politics, friend of the show. Phil, I'm old enough to remember when President Biden, when asked just a couple of weeks ago about going to the southern border, he said, I've got more important things to deal with. What changed that suddenly now he's going to visit?
Well, really, I'm not certain, because I don't think that the southern border is going to provide the president the photo op that he might hope. Certainly, there are some areas that are more secure than others, but this wouldn't be an opportunity to take a victory lap. Instead, we've seen more than 2.4 million arrests on the southern border thus far. We've seen the pictures that you just showed of migrants flooding across the border. And so I think what the White House is trying to do with the remarks tomorrow and then the border visit later is that they are trying to preempt and take some wind out of the sails of House Republicans who are looking to hammer them on this issue. But look, this is 2 years in, and we're going to figure out if that strategy is actually winsome or if this is just rhetoric leading nowhere.
It's a great point. And you talk about the photo op. And look, you've been in the White House pool. You've traveled on Air Force One. You know what it's like, that the way the president stands and which direction he faces in every picture is closely scripted. I'm wondering how you even go about advancing one of these trips. How does the White House chief of staff and the press secretary allow the president to be next to border agents who, at least the ones I talk to, have a funny ability to tell you the truth, and the White House pool there with cameras?
Yeah, certainly we won't be hearing from many of those border agents. The administration has had a gag order on many of them to keep them from speaking to the press. But you're absolutely right. When the president makes a trip, nothing is left up to chance, down to the individual camera angles and where he stands. I think that this is going to be a very interesting moment, because what we've seen from the administration thus far is they hear the drumbeat from Republicans who are demanding more border security. Their response again and again has been that they have dealt with a broken immigration system that they inherited. And you played the clip of the White House press secretary, but just back in December, there was more, sort of shirking of blame when the vice president said that Republicans were not willing to work seriously on this issue with them. There's a fundamental disconnect here, and we're going to find out if there can be some sort of grand bargain on border security and then leniency when it comes to a pathway to citizenship. But yeah, I mean, Leland, look at what's happening in the House right now.
Yeah,
Do you really think that there's an appetite for bipartisan reform?
Yeah. Yeah, I can't agree on a speaker. You're going to get some grand bargain in the House. Dare to dream. And that may be what the White House is thinking, is here's their opportunity, right? The president and vice president have both been questioned about going to the border or not. It has not worked out well. Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.